If I had this video given to me 10 years ago, it would have shaved so much time off of me trying to get my drums to sound right. 3 tips that I could basically break down into a simple 3-shot process on how to get your drums to sound at least better than what they were before you clicked on this video. Make sure you hit the like, comment, subscribe, grease up that algorithm, baby. We're trying to get this knowledge out there to all the producers. This is a basic drum loop that we've got at 140. All the basics are in there. As you can see, we have a group for the kick and snare. So we've got a kick, snare. We've got some top loops here, some hi-hats. And we've also got some kind of perky stuff and sort of off-kilter percussion sounds. And altogether, it sounds like this. So on its own, it sounds pretty good, right? But what are some things that we can do to take it to that next stage, that next level? Guys, clip your drums. Just clip your drums. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to go all the way with it. You don't need to find third-party plugins. Literally just put a saturator on your drums and call it a day. I'm obviously joking when I say that, but really clipping your drums adds that extra bit of flair, taste, and pressure to the sound. It makes it sound louder, punchier, but the whole point of that is trying your very best to not kill the dynamics of the sound. I'm going to collapse everything, and I'm going to make a new track, and I just want to see, let me group all the drums. So let's group the drums. I'm just going to copy the whole drum loop. So copy, and then Option Command V to paste it just to see what we're working with. That's a really nice loop. Obviously, I'm using sort of process sounds. But what we want to do is you can see that the transients, you kind of can't see it here, but there will be some amount of data that's being sent over the 0 point right here, okay? And so the whole point of clipping our drums is to make sure that nothing goes above that point. So there's a few ways that you can actually clip your drums, but the easiest way to do it in Ableton is just chuck a saturator on the kick and the snare group, as you can see right here. And I usually set this to a soft clip, and then what you want to do is just bring up the drive as you see fit. And then as you can see, so now you're getting into that sort of distorted territory, that kind of decap territory. I don't like my kicks to have too much of that harmonic distortion. I like it to just kind of hit right on that sort of boiling point. So usually what I'll opt for is around 4 dB, to, 3 to 4 dB of gain. And as you bring this up, if it's getting a bit too distorted and sort of high end for you, we have this amplitude low pass filter here. So let me bring this into like 5 dB. And you'll notice like below 100, you'll get that sort of more subby, knocky feel. But then above that, it's more of the kind of crunchy, distorted, where you lose a bit of that low end. But it may be something good for you if you're making trap music or something like that, where, the kick doesn't need a lot of low end. Like it really is more just like a midpoint. And then the 808s and the bass is really going to be the thing that knocks and hits on the one. So usually what I'll opt for is around 3 to 4. Whoops. So I'll reset this back to 0. But usually what I'll opt for is around 3 to 4 of just drive on a soft clip. And that's literally all you need to do. Now that we've got that rocking, let's regroup this drum loop here. Copy again, add a new audio track, Option Command V. And there we go. So now you can see that the kick is being clipped and it's being chopped off right below that 0 point. There are some third-party clippers that you guys can get. For example, we have K-Clip 3. So this is another really good one to use for drums. So I'll take this saturator off, and we've got a few more parameters when it comes to this plugin. So first things first, we can link our in and outs and sort of bring the gain down by maybe like 2 dB, something like that. We can maybe bring the mids down like -10 and just listen. Now for this plugin, you've got more of that kind of lower, crunchier sound, but it does pocket into the sound a lot better, I feel. In certain circumstances, I'll opt for this, just if it sounds right for that moment. But yeah, you could use something like a K-Clip for this, and you're pretty much on your way and you're good to go. Now, K-Clip are not paying me to make this video, but someone has to pay the bills. So before we go to the next point, let's hear a word from the sponsor of today's video, which is me. Now, if you guys are looking for sample packs or just samples in general that have really solid drums, really solid snares, literally drag and drop and like get going, definitely consider checking out my Dub Nation line linked below. I make sample packs for bass producers. If you make UKG, 140 dub, dubstep, I guarantee you there are sounds in there that you're gonna love and you're gonna get the most out of. It's a great way to support the channel. And without further ado, let's get back to the video. Now, let's take a look at our meter and see where we're hitting. And there we go, guys. Clipping your drums makes a massive difference. All in all, it's just a really good habit to get into. A much more full sound, much more professional sound. And we want our drums to knock. We want our drums to punch. We want them to slap, you know. All right, guys, so let's move on to tip number 2, which is adding swing to your drums. And whether that be in MIDI or loops. Right now, for this example, I'm working with mostly just loops. We have a MIDI here for this off hat. So for something like this off hat, I don't usually add swing to this. I kind of want that to be, you know, pretty robotic, right? But for something like these tops right here, especially this shaker, you know, these are all very on grid, right? So they're very stale, not stale, but, you know, they're just on grid. So they're pretty robotic. So we're gonna add some swing to them. So we can go to grooves here, and they're basically just a bunch of MIDI notes. Okay, different grooves. And then you can basically attach a sound source to that groove, has a little bit more feel and dynamics to it. Now, historically, audio samples are really bad when you're using the Groove Pool. Like, it just doesn't work, doesn't sound as good. But I've found a way to make it sound good that no one else talks about, and I feel like no one else uses it, and I'm gonna show you guys right now. So first of all, let's go to our Groove Pool. I already have mine set up. So if I go to navigate and I come down here to Groove Pool, a little thing will pop up right here. And as you can see, all of the swings that I usually use are all set up here. So I'm going to drag this in as a MIDI instrument really quickly, just so you can see where the dots are hitting. What we want to do, let's take this loop, for example. We want to match the swing so that it lines up with this MIDI, right? All these points, all these transients line up with it. I mean, they're pretty on point right now, but you can see this one's pretty off, stuff like that. What most people do is they bring in their loop just like so, and then they go to swing, they go to Groove Pool, and then they choose their swing. And yeah, it kind of works, it does the trick, but if the loop is quite crowded with a lot of different percussion sounds, it can really destroy the whole drum groove. But I found a way to actually have it make sense. So first things first, go into your loop right here, and you want to come up here and make sure that your grid point is set to 16th. Then we're going to click on the waveform. So we're going to go Command A, which is going to select everything. Then Command I, which is going to put a point on all the transients that's being read by Ableton. And then we're going to do Command U, which is going to align everything onto that 16th grid. Now that everything's been aligned, now we can go over here and add our swing. And it should apply the swing perfectly for every instance. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna duplicate this, and let's do the same for these loops right here. And then we have Command I, blah, 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 I've already done it. And then we can go into our grooves here and just select the groove for each of these. Now, you could take this a step further as well. So as I said before, you've got some percussion stuff down here. So we could actually do the exact same thing. I'm just going to select all of these and set the groove there. And I've already done them and set them up so that they're all on grid and stuff like that. Now, let's take a listen to the drums. It's very subtle. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So let me do this. Let me gray all of this. All right, guys, so we'll just set up a little side-by-side comparison. Everything in the gray, there's no clipping and there's no swing, there's no groove to the loops. Everything on the other side has all the processing we've done so far. Again, it's very, very subtle, but the second one feels like it's rolling, you know, it's dynamic, it's moving, it has that feel, it has that groove to it. It makes a massive, massive difference. All right, guys, and for tip number 3 is choosing the right samples. I think a lot of people really gloss over this because it's more of like, it's not a technical thing that I can show you, right? It's more of a philosophical, it takes time to train your ear. I could sit here and, you know, go through all of the different millions of samples I have on my computer and show you why one of them is better than the other. But I don't think you'd get a lot out of that. When it comes to choosing the right sounds, what are your tastes? when it comes to nailing down your taste and what you actually like, the best way to get to that is finding what you don't like. I'm always looking for new sounds, I'm always looking for new samples, but for something fundamental like a kick, like a snare, some drums, I'm usually using the same thing over and over again because over time I found what I like and it works with the different contexts that I usually take my music in. If I took this shaker away, like, let's turn this on. You know, that shaker adds such a massive difference. Now, it can't just be like a hat, you know, how to get those sounds is quite difficult, I know, but it's one of the things that really sets everything apart. Now, if there's one final lesson that I can give you guys before you go away when it comes to choosing the right sounds, it's this. If you have the right sounds, you don't need to mix them. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but really well processed sounds that have already been processed, they're clipped, they're ready to go, you can literally just drag and drop them. You shouldn't have to add any more mixing to them. If the kick is sounding good, it's sounding good. There's nothing else you really need to do to it. I hope you got something out of it, and until next time, I'll see you in the next one.